Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Shreveport. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Phoenix, with To Our Destiny Community Development Corporation, under the leadership of our president, Dr. Rasky G. Mason II. We're so grateful you've joined us on Facebook and YouTube. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe on all the media platforms, and share this show with someone right now. Today's conversation is Let's Talk Beyond the Backpack. While we are preparing our children for a safe, successful school year, as parents begin purchasing backpacks, notebooks, and school clothes, we want to ask an even bigger question. What does a child really need to be successful in this school year? Preparing a child for school goes far beyond pencils and paper. It includes emotional wellness, physical safety, positive relationships, academic readiness, mentorship, community support, and making sure families know where to turn when they need help. So our mission for tonight is simple. It's to empower families with the knowledge, resources, and community connections needed to ensure that every child starts the school year safely, confident, and ready to learn. Tonight, we've brought together an incredible panel of educators, coaches, parents, and behavioral specialists, as well as the Salvation Army, to help us prepare our families for one of the most important school years yet ahead. We have with us tonight Miss Kristen Gibson, English 2 teacher and JV cheer coach with C.E. Byrd High School. Captain Jason McMullen, Corps Officer for the Salvation Army of Northwest Louisiana. Ms. Jakesha Bradford, Assistant Teacher, Bossier Office of Community Service Head Start, and the mother of one. And we have Mr. H. Glenn Robinson, a behavioral interventionist in DeSoto Parish. We also, last but not least, have Miss Miriam Harley with Red Shield Youth Center Executive Director 1. And she covers all the divisions from Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi Division Red. So I want to start off tonight by asking each of the panelists, what are you most passionate about when it comes to helping children? Ms. Gibson?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Dr. Pam. Thank you for having me on tonight's show. For me, I am the most excited about and eager to see students make the connection. I love seeing students not really think highly of themselves or not really think that they're capable of doing something, and having a standard that I uphold throughout the entire year and seeing them rise to meet that standard. So I love to see the growth, whether that be academic or emotional growth throughout the year when I have students.
That's awesome. Awesome. Ms. Harley, can you share with us what are you most passionate about when it comes to helping children?
I'm most passionate about empowering the kids. With just that Christian foundation, giving them hope, giving them faith of things to come. So I'm just excited to just see the kids, how they thrive, where they start out at one point and then to actually see them grow to a point where you just know hey, they're thriving and you can actually see the great things that are coming to them in life.
Awesome. Wonderful. Ms. Bradford, what are you most passionate about when it comes to helping children?
Good evening, everyone. For me, I just love seeing them excited to come to school because I have such the younger group. So just seeing them excited to come to school and ready to make friends and ready to learn, I love being a part of that. So yeah, that's what makes me happy.
Awesome. Awesome. And last but not least, Captain McMullen, what is it that you're most passionate about when it comes to helping children?
I'm most passionate about the communication aspect of it. A lot of times, children don't know how to articulate what they need, and just being able to teach them to learn how to ask for the things that they need, and ask in a way to where they can get a good response from it. Because a lot of times, the way you communicate determines the response that you'll get back, and so just teaching them how to communicate.
Awesome. Wonderful. And Mr. Robinson, what are you most passionate about when it comes to helping children? No, we can't. We can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
Okay, we can hear you a little bit now. You can't hear me? Can you hear the question? Well, thank you all for your responses. I think Mr. Robinson is having some technical difficulties, but he'll probably be back on and we'll move forward with that. So, panel, when parents hear back to school, and I mean, it's a term we use right after summer. Sometimes the summer goes so quickly and it's already time back to school, getting uniforms, buying supplies, etc. When parents hear back to school, what's the one thing you wish every family would prioritize besides school supplies? And I know each of you have a different answer based on your respective roles when it comes to children. So, Captain McMullen, what when parents hear, and it's the parents hearing, it's back to school time, what's the one thing you wish they knew and prioritized besides the school supplies? Because that's pretty much the priority on all the parents' mind. Lord, I got to get together some money for to get these uniforms. The supply list is going to be 15 pages long. What is it that you wish every family knew?
Man, I think just getting that mindset that there is no more sleeping in, that you got to prioritize your time now, and there's no staying up late playing Xbox. You have to set time to do your homework and to study, and when you prioritize your time and put everything in its priority, then you can be more successful in school as you go to class. You'll not have to do things last minute and fail pop quizzes. You'll be more prepared to take tests and do what you got to do in school. So I would say preparation and just preparing them mentally for the school year ahead.
Gotcha. And we definitely want to tap into that mentally. Mr. Robinson, can you hear me now? You have your audio all the way up, Mr. Robinson? Okay, we still have no sound. Miss Harley, can you answer the question? When parents hear back to school, what's the one thing you wish that they would prioritize besides supplies?
Families. All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes. So I wish the parents would just prioritize just taking that moment to taking that pause and just speak greatness over their children. Like that expectation of greatness. Like we're going to expect great things from you and how we're going to get there. So that speaking that greatness over them and just organizing their path to that during the school year.
Thank you so much. And tell me, what are some warning signs, Miss Gibson, that tell you a student isn't emotionally prepared for school? Because you are in the classrooms with the kids, and Miss Bradford is in the classroom with the kids. What are some warning signs that tell you a student isn't emotionally prepared for school?
A few signs that I have seen since being in the classroom, a lot of the times is misbehavior. So when students come into the class and they misbehave, that's usually a sign. And then a lot of the times as well, like sleeping. So a student that like comes in and will like sleep, they're capable, but they have so much going on that they just choose to sleep. Or the acting out are two signs that are really like telltale.
So you look at the behavior as well as if they're just falling asleep.
Yes, ma'am. Those are two things that you could usually like look at. Um, there is always something behind a behavior. So a child will never come into a classroom and just intentionally act out. There has to be something that's happening behind the scene. And so if you first evaluate yourself and identify, okay, well, how did I speak to the child? Is the material like above this child's knowledge at this point? There are just a few things that you can do as an educator to identify, is it you or is it beyond you? And a lot of the times it is beyond you. So then you have to identify or ask yourself, okay, well, what could it be? So misbehavior, a lot of the times, is not just a child coming into the classroom misbehaving because they are wanting to get on your nerves, I would say.
Gotcha. And are you all prepared in some capacity to face that or identify those actions that show you that a child isn't emotionally prepared?
I am. I make a joke with everyone that I know, the administration at my school. I will flat out say, "Give me the bad ones," or give me the ones that people don't necessarily want, because I want to take the time to understand, why are you behaving this way. I have a great community around me as well, so I have people that will donate into my classroom with like gift cards and snacks and things like that, personal hygiene things. So I'm able to really help students beyond just teaching them English on the high school level.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And Miss Bradford, I know your baby is about to become a preteen. So how old is she?
This year. So
I'm
she
sorry.
will be going to the 7th grade.
Oh,
Right.
okay. She was like a little baby. I
Right,
didn't know that.
right, right.
So,
And
so how can parents better support teenagers academically? Because one thing we know, when we were teenagers, our mind wasn't on education more than it was trying to get a boyfriend or become popular or something. So, how can parents better support teenagers academically?
you have to be active. You have to be aware of what's going on.
Mm,
Like if there's an app at the school, if there's a Facebook page, whatever's going on at your child's school, you need to know so that where you can tap in. They're always sending out QR codes or sending out some type of memo or email to let you know what's going on. So you have to make yourself present to be aware of what's going on. So they'll, like if they have a back to school night or a literacy night, to be there to
mm.
get the information, to get the materials to help your child more if they need it. So you just have to be present and be aware of what's going on.
I think that's critical. And can you answer the question, are parents being attentive to intentionally build a relationship with the school? Are they there? Because I've heard that nobody's attending PTA meetings and all of this.
It's a yes and a no. It just depends. Some of the millennials are not in or just not with it, and some are. So it just depends on the area, and it just depends. I can't say that all parents are for it because some are. Then some like to volunteer, like myself. I'm going to go to the PTA meetings. I'm going to the school because I want to know what's going on. You're not going to leave me behind. I need to know about the curriculum. I need to know your teachers. So it just depends on the parent. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Got it. I understand completely. Mr. Robinson, can you hear us yet? Mr. Robinson? Okay. We're going to have to get to poor Mr. Robinson with his technical difficulties. One of the things that I'd like to get some feedback on are, Miss Harley, how can parents encourage confidence? Because, we're dealing with a new generation, and we've had the conversation. I was born in the 60s, so there's a certain criteria that's mandated with a 60s child and a 70s child and an 80s child, 90s and the 2000s. In this generation of children, we've had some long discussions about how different they are today versus when I was a little girl. So, how can parents encourage confidence to the child in this season of 2026?
Yeah. I think we have been having this conversation, like I've been having this conversation with different people in the community. But one of the things that like what I'm noticing, these kids are always on their cell phones, and parents give them the option of whether or not they're going to participate in certain programs. And like back in the day, like my mom was like, "Oh, you're going to do this," because of the fact that I know it's going to help you. And so one of the ways that we build confidence in our kids is really letting them explore different things, and then getting them out there to get involved with different activities, even if they say I don't want to do this, but saying like I know this is going to be good for you. And once they try it, 9 times out of 10 the kids are going to love it and want to keep on going back and keep on doing things.
That kind of piggybacks another question. What should children know about social media safety? Because I've heard some gruesome stories, and we know some folks have their 2-year-old with their own cell phone. So, Captain McMullen, what is it that we can share with our children, or what should they know about social media safety?
They should be aware of just how dangerous it can be. Um, right now, it's like kind of scary, that the harm that can, the cyberbullying and everything that can happen on social media. And it's not just social media; it's even the online gaming. To where all kind of things can happen. But what they need to know is about like giving away too much information.
Mm,
Um, and things kind of need to be set up to where parents have access so that they can see exactly, what they're looking at, who's getting online and who they're communicating with. That way they're made aware when there could be like an online predator posing as somebody else, using fake profiles and whatnot. And so we have to make our kids aware, of the dangers, that social media and just being online in general can have. And the way we can help is by making sure that they're logged into a family account to where
mm,
everybody has access to it. The parents can supersede what they're looking at and can lock things and block things so that they won't have access. I think that would be, helpful.
mm. And if anyone else has any insight on the questions that I'm asking a particular person, and you have some insight, please feel free to jump in. And regarding the question I just gave, I just found out because I'm nowhere around. I have grandchildren now, so I don't know what's going on when it comes to a child going back to school and things of that sort. But they told me, my grandson told me that when they play the game, they can play the game with people all over the world. And I
Hmm.
didn't know that. So, and they may have some other parents that don't know that because there's so many games that can be played. And when they told me they have the capacity to be able to be playing with someone in Germany, and then my mind reverts to individuals being pedophiles and luring kids. I went to a trafficking conference and they talked about that. So, how do you think? Because they fall apart when you take their electronic devices. I mean, it's worse than an addiction. So, how do we deal with that?
Dr. Pam, I think that a lot of it has to do with being intentional. And I don't say intentional because parents aren't intentional. I say intentional because sometimes adults, I'm not going to just say parents, can be so intentional and we don't stop to listen. And so because we don't stop to listen, kids will talk to strangers online and they're brilliant. Kids don't just have family accounts, they have spam accounts, which are fake accounts. And then they have a spam account for their spam account. So parents can know that their kids have an account, but the kids can have a fake account or a backup account, and then a backup for the backup. I think a lot of it has to do with our intentionality as adults and allowing them to feel safe and come talk to us when there is something that's going on in their life. Because a lot of the times we feel like, oh, well, you're a kid, your only job is to go to school, you don't pay no bills. And so that's the approach that we take with a lot of kids. And it doesn't work like that anymore in 2026. I don't think we can keep using the same approach with 2026 children.
And to piggyback off of that, I do have a 12-year-old that play Roblox. She have Instagram, but I will say one thing you do have to do is limit their screen time, because you do want her to be able, I do want my child to be able to interact with other people.
Right.
And have that vocabulary and that language to be able to talk to another human being outside of being on a phone. But you do have to check those Instagram, check those passwords, cut off that screen time, only give them so much time to be on their phone so that they don't have it. Their attention is always on it, because they're getting in school and they can't communicate, they can't focus because all they're used to is a screen. So as a parent, like Christian said, you have to be intentional on what you do. Screen time is okay, sometimes, but not all the time, because it's taking the focus off of what's important, and that's the learning, that's the human to human interaction. So you just have to be intentional and make sure that you're chiming in and knowing what's going on and what your child is playing and the programs that they're on, and how to vet the people, make sure that these check boxes are not check boxes and that they're really people. So you just have to know what's going on. You can't just give them a phone and leave it. You have to do your own research about these programs to know what's going on.
So do you all think that most parents know what's going on? Or are they, Lord, I'm grateful that the child is quiet because I need some me time or whatever? Are the parents really getting involved? And can a 12-year-old have an Instagram account?
I think if I could go back, like my kids are 22 and 20, but if I could go back, I gave them a phone when they were in elementary school. And it's only because we were going through a divorce and all this other kind of stuff. But if I could go back in time, I would not give them a cell phone that early. I think we are exposing kids. You want them to be able to use technology, but we're giving them too much access to it. And it's hard. It's hard to find out. Like I was that parent who, like I had like a app on my phone and on my computer, like where I could see where my kids and what they were doing on their computers. But by the time they were in the 5th or 6th grade, they were able to disable that. So you really, like, once you started, it's a monster. So like the best way to like not have those problems, because it is an addiction. Even a lot of adults are addicted to it. Like just starting, like not starting with them until they're a lot older.
So you would compare parents playing games with their kids equivalent to parents smoking weed with their kids? Is it like an addiction that a child can have, and when the parent engages with them, that's just adding to the equation, or what? Anybody?
I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, to know that it's not helpful to your child to start too early on technology, unsupervised technology.
Gotcha. Mr. Robinson, you can hear us now?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much. Hello.
Awesome.
How can
Now
y'all
tell
hear
me this. Tell me this, Mr. Robinson, because you are, a behavior intervenist. What changes? And I just made the statement about how the generations are different: 60s babies, 70s babies, 90s babies, up till today. What behaviors concern you the most?
Well, I'll start with this. the age alarms me the most because now we're getting 4 and 5 year olds that are going to alternative school. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So to me, it's along with the behavior, it's the age. So I take that into account, but at the same time, I think kids are being exposed to too much too soon and not really understanding what it actually is. So everything that 4 year old, 5 year old sees, they don't know that you can't bring that to school. You can't have that attitude when the teachers ask you to do something. So one of the alarming behavior is defiance and just saying, I'm not going to do that.
Mm,
And
mm,
then being okay with it to the point where they are even comfortable with you calling their parents because they're saying to us now, my parents not going to do anything.
Lord,
And really
Lord.
that's the truth. You
Mm,
know, I've been in meetings where I'm asking the parent, you know, about certain things that they do at home, whether they have chores or is it structured and this that, and they turn to the child. I'm like, well,
mm.
who's the
Who's
parent
the
here?
parent?
You know, when I grew up, when I was growing up, I could differentiate between my parent and my friends, but now, you know, now you can't. Another behavior uh, that alarms me is they say I'm about to crash out or I'm about to do this or that, which is a something that they heard in a song or something that they heard saw on a movie, you know. But we're talking about a song and we're talking about a movie, but we're also saying the kids don't know where to put this at. They don't know what to they don't know the right way to insert this. So they insert it when they get to a point where they don't want to do something or somebody else to make them mad. I get this all the time. Well, they made me mad. Okay, well, you still had some decisions to make
That's it.
after they made you mad
Made you
that
mad.
will
That's
keep
it.
you from having decisions in the future. You know, so
And
so
so,
that yeah,
so
yes, ma'am.
tell me this: is there any intervention? Miss Gibson and Miss Bradford are in the classroom every day, and they identify this. They can't talk to their parents for whatever reason, but they feel comfortable with their teacher in discussing this. What is it that me as a teacher can do, or am I supposed to get involved? I know that teachers are supposed to get involved if they see like a child come in there with a black eye and disheveled and just not being taken care of. I believe y'all have to report that. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to report it.
Yeah.
Okay, but the child that's withdrawn, sullen, you have to identify those as well
Mm-hmm.
and take action.
Not. Oh, I don't know about that.
That's not for
Damn.
me. That's one where you would go to the counselor. So you would
Yes.
go to the counselor. I'd like tell the counselor who the student is, and the counselor would pull the student and have a
Oh,
conversation with the student. That's always been my experience.
gotcha,
Yeah. And
gotcha.
that's basically how that goes. Yes.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Captain McMullen, many families are struggling financially. Some just dread the words back to school. My daughter has 9 children, so I can hear her stress out last year trying to get uniforms and you can't wear no name tennis shoes or you get talked about until the end of eternity. And parents have this challenge with the finances. So does the Salvation Army have any resources that are available to a person that's in this situation, or what can they do?
Well, yes. For one, like school clothes and school supplies together is something that'll make a parent sweat when they trying to juggle between, do I get school supplies or do I get groceries? Or do I get school supplies or do I pay the light bill? And so we do, utility assistance to where we can help pay a light, water, or gas bill, or mortgage, rent. And we do give away food bags for parents that need some groceries. Um, right now, early August, we'll also be collecting some school supplies with the bus program that we're doing with Walmart, to where we can also help parents get school supplies. And you'll start seeing flyers and getting on the news, seeing news reports about the day that we'll distribute those to kind of help with that. Um, back when we had a family store, we used to have uniforms that we would get in from donation that they would be able to get like real cheap. But we no longer have, a family store. But anything that we do get, we try to give it to the community to where they can get the help they need. And that's not even the least of the struggle. Some may not even have a place of residence, to where we do have like family rooms in our shelter that they can also stay in as a family, and at least have a warm place to lay their heads. If you don't have a way to prepare food, because your lights are off, then they can always come and get a warm meal, for the day, each day, so that they can have something to eat. And then we also have, for the children that have problems doing their homework, there is a program at our Red Shield Youth Center that I think Ms. Miriam will probably go over and cover, to where we can also help the children out with that as well.
That is awesome, and I'm so grateful that you all have that type of assistance available. Miss Bradford, how do you balance preparing your own child while helping others?
Um, well, first I take a nap because I need some rest. I gotta have some rest. You gotta have some rest. And that's basically the what it is. You have to prioritize your sleep and your self-care. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. So I'm gonna make sure I'm having a snack. I'm gonna sleep and make sure that my mental is together, because I can't prepare daily and get her off to school and then go and welcome in these other kids if I'm not together already. So I make sure that I sleep. I plan out my day. I have a calendar. I try to write down as much as possible so I don't have to try to remember it. I write it down and go with the plan. Because outside of that, I will be a chicken with my head cut off.
Well, the next area I wanted to talk about is when you do, you just said have to make sure my mental is right. And we have some families where the parents' mental isn't right, but they're doing the best that they can. Um, how do you address that? When you see that, Captain McMullen, if someone walks into the Salvation Army, or Mr. Robinson, if a behavior is seen that you've identified as negative, or Miss Harley, if in one of the youth divisions, you see this family in that um, predicament, how do you help? I mean, I know there are a lot of organizations you could refer if you have the um, an inkling that a child may be molested. I know there are some routes that you have to go. So, what do you do when you see a child that is experiencing some type of negative, emotionally charged? And like you said, many times they act out, Miss Gibson. If they're acting out, that's a sign. So, how do you not only just identify it, but what steps are taken in order to solidify this child's life?
Well, I think for one, you have to rely on the relationship that you have with the child, with the parents, and make sure that that's a trustworthy relationship. You can
Do
get it.
you have relationships with the family? Do most
I
who
I
did
I
you?
I I almost, and this is gonna sound like a strong word, but I almost demand that the kids that I'm seeing, that I have a relationship with the parents.
Awesome.
Whatever kind of communication they would like, phone call, text, whatever, email, then I use that. But I say demand, but I don't have a point where I say, oh, I can't get in touch with them. No, I don't. I go to the utmost because I want them to not only see me when things are going well.
Mm-hmm.
When things are bad, I'm gonna be the same person. So that's why I started out with the relationship, because to me that determines your next course of action. It determines how you're going to approach it, because some kids, no matter what their parents do to them, they're still loyal to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so you being, on the advocate for the child does not do anything for the relationship with the child and the mother, if that child has that, love for the mother, even though, they know things are not going well. And I also have a relationship with I'm in DeSoto Parish, so with the sheriff department and that kind of thing, to even come when everything's going good. Come to the kid getting a certificate or an award or something like that. And then when you get into areas where you gotta report it, then you just gotta take whatever comes at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't report it, then it's actually on you to whatever happens, to that child. And I've been into some situation where I didn't let the child go home with the parent because I didn't feel like the child was gonna be safe. And you talking about, got called some names and all kind of stuff from the
Wow.
parent, but the sheriff guy was right there, and the child ended up staying with an aunt, and kind of things got better with the relationship with the child and mother, and so eventually the child ended up going back to the house.
Mm, mm, mm. I didn't know that that type of authority existed
Oh
for
yes,
you for you to be able to say no, this child isn't going back to that
yeah,
home.
yeah.
And thinking about that, not being safe at home, what about being safe at school? We haven't heard about any shootings in school lately, praise the Lord, but from the past. And do we, as parents, equip our children with the knowledge and understanding that if something like this should occur, what they should do? And I think the school does routine drills. Is that correct, Ms. Gibson? Okay. And to what capacity does that work? What do they do to ready the children in case of an active shooters on the premises?
Well, at the beginning of the year, we, as educators, have professional development days, and one of those days, one of our administrators takes the time to go over the policies and procedures for if an emergency happens, God forbid. And so, when the students actually come to school, we always set aside a day to actually go over the policy. So if there's a tornado, if there's a fire, if there is an active shooter, we walk through those situations as if it's really happening, while on the board presenting the information on how we should handle those things. Well, then throughout the year, we have unannounced drills. So whether that be for a tornado, an active shooter, a fire drill, they've already been given the information. So at this point, we're just acting it out as if it's actually happening. The way I think that a parent can support or aid in this is to have the conversation. Nobody wants to think about the school catching on fire while their child's there, or an active shooter being on the campus with their child. However, in the world that we're living in, we're seeing that it's happening more and more. And so I think that parents can really aid the school by telling their children to just comply with what's happening, or whatever instruction is coming from the administration or from whatever adult that they're around. A lot of the times kids panic, which is understandable, because as a child I probably would panic. They want to get on their phones, they want to text. Parents get to the school, they're irate, and that never helps the situation. And so it really becomes the parent telling their child, listen and trust whatever adult you are in the care of at that moment. Because we practice, and we're as prepared as we're going to be, and we make sure that we practice those things with the students as well.
So when you have a
That
student,
Dr. Pam,
yes, ma'am.
I want to say, as a parent, I think you also should talk to your kids about being self-aware and being kind to the next person, because you never know what somebody is going through. You never know what's on their mind. So just be gentle with the next person. Be kind. Don't be mean. Don't be be nice, and that could very well much help the issue. And being self-aware, if something do happen at the school, if it is a tornado or an active shooter drill, to know to listen to the teacher, but also look out for yourself and your friends. It's your group at this point, you're a family. So just to make sure you watch out for everyone that's with you. So that's what I try to tell my baby.
And I think even in the after school setting, like we train our staff on how to engage if there are those different emergencies, whether it's a fire drill or if tornado, those different type of drills. So we have that training. And then we also want to teach our kids that if they see something, to say something, because we are still in that snitches get stitches era. And kids was like, well, I'm not a snitch. But if you see something, I need you to say something, and it's for the betterment of everybody that's there.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's
So
good.
when we're looking at kids, and some of the things that they may have gone through before they got to the school, can we say or identify some of the characteristics and the difference between disrespect and an emotional distress? Because as I said earlier, Ms. Gibson stated that their behavior is a key red flag. But what's the difference between disrespect and emotional distress? Can anybody help with that?
Well, I think emotional distress comes after something has happened beyond a person's control, or it may be a learned behavior. They may have saw somebody else do it. I think disrespect is toward everybody. They're not just disrespectful to me. They disrespectful to any and all adults, or anybody that reminds them of their mother or father, or anybody that says anything that they have been told over and over. So I think the emotional part comes, like I said, that means, did y'all hear that static? I think the emotional disturbance or disturbing part comes as a result of something that may have happened to them that they don't know what exactly to do. Disrespect is more defiant. It's not, there's no remorse for it. They do it and smirk at you if you say something back to them. Of course, I do, but I'm just, trying to describe disrespect. And when you talk to them about respect and disrespect, they don't know the difference.
Mm.
They don't know that in order for you to get respect, you got to give respect. And what does that look like? My question is, what does that look like to them? And they can't tell you.
But
But they can.
my question would be, if a child is being disrespectful, something is going on. That's just not a child's character. So if they, like you said, not just, disrespectful to you and treat everybody else sweet, they're just disrespectful to everyone.
Right.
And, it kind of reminded me of some of the stories that was said, when men would beat women, that's the only way that they had control, or raping women or something like that.
Right.
That was their way of being in control. So this child that's disrespectful, is he acting out as a result of some of the things he encountered at home before he gets to the school?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a multitude of things. And the unfortunate thing is the same kid can go through the same thing. Two kids can go through the same thing and they have different responses to it.
Right.
So what happens is, if those responses, or if that behavior is not corrected, then it goes on as a tolerable behavior. So they
Mm,
behave like that everywhere. You see what I'm saying? That's why home training is so important, because the things that I was getting at home, kids are not getting at home.
mm,
So there's no intervention to say, okay, that's wrong, and I don't care where you do it, that's wrong. I don't care
mm,
how you do it, it's still wrong. I don't care why you do it, it's still wrong. So when those behaviors are gone unpunished, or even give any attention to it, then the kids just continues to act that certain way until they're either incarcerated, or they put at juvenile for a long period of time, or something like that. So it's a behavior that hadn't been intervened, you
mm.
know so it just goes as though it becomes the norm for them to act
Mhm.
that way.
Captain, I see you. I know you want to respond.
I was just going to say it's like a lot of things that play into the character that they develop now, um, to where this disrespect has become a part of their character. And it's
Mm,
a whole lot of things that, has played a part in the building of that character. But I piggyback off of what I said earlier when I said communication determines the response. And so what has been communicated to them, they're only communicating it back to others. And so
mm.
we're getting, what they was given. And so
So I guess this would be the child that turns into the bully,
Hmm.
and
sometimes,
other kids get exposed to that kind of behavior. How
Yes,
does that?
ma'am. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I would also like to add I'm a 90s baby. And so I think that I have a lot more understanding when it comes to the kids that are like growing up in today's time, because I'm not that far apart in age from them. And so I think that a lot of times what I have seen is there are adults who feel as if I'm going to talk to you like I'm grown and you're a child. But a lot of these kids aren't just kids, they are adults
right,
at home. They're helping raise their siblings. They're paying bills. They're making
Mm,
sure that their siblings are eating because mama is at work or mama's just not around or daddy's beating mama and mama's taking daddy's side. There are just so many different dynamics that play a part into why children behave the way that they behave. And so there is really just such a gray area when it comes to how do we address the issue. Um, or how we can fix it. I don't think that there is a quick or easy fix for this situation. Again, I make jokes, but send me the bad ones. Send me the ones nobody want. When they first come to me, when they first meet me, they say, "Oh, she's nice. I'm gonna run all over her," and then they soon learn, "Oh, she's not that one." No, I'm not, because I think kids do not like structure in the beginning, but if you are committed to helping a child grow and identify how they can become a better person, how they can become a better them, then that structure helps them. And I would also say, for me, I talk to kids just like this. I tell them, I'm not going to raise my voice at you. You have multiple options in my classroom. The option is to either do what I'm asking you to do because I know it's reasonable, or you can leave. They never choose the leaving option, because I have built such a relationship with them, the worst of the worst. Now, I have encountered some that are just like defiant and they will not do it. But for the most part, I truly believe that if you take a step back and look at how you are engaging with them, you were horrible Monday, but when you come back on Tuesday, I'm gonna treat you like Monday never happened. You were horrible Monday and Tuesday, but when I see you on Wednesday, I'm going to treat you like those things never happened. And I think that when they see you continuously show up and show yourself friendly and show them that you truly care, there's a wall that begins to fall and they begin to trust you.
That's
I
right.
even ask students often, "Am I yelling at you?" And they stop and they reflect and they say no. And I say, "Do you think I'm being mean to you?" And they stop and they reflect and they say no. And that has helped me get past a lot of like barriers when it comes to students who are perceived as disrespectful or who won't do anything for anybody else.
Mm, mm, mm. Lord, that's something. And Miss Harley made a comment about after school. And I spoke with, I don't know if it was a teacher or what, and she advised that some schools have after school programs for whether it be tutoring or whatever. But a lot of the students can't attend because they are the ones, just like you said,
Yep.
paying bills, making sure the other babies eat, everything. Um, and they don't have the capacity to be able to attend an after school, as well as the transportation needed from after school to get home if they did have that ability. So we may have some great after school programs, and children are weak in some areas, whether it be STEM or other academics. But what is it we can do to help these kids, utilize after school programs when they are the ones that need to be at home being the parent while the parent is out? Is there some way, and I thought about this, if we could have a program where with after school, if they have small ones, the small ones able to come to after school and they have a nursery area that watch them while this student is getting tutored and or something. So what is the solution when it comes to kids being able to utilize the after school programs? Because everybody got them, nonprofit organization as well as schools.
I think the
Yeah,
answer you get.
I work for a after school tutoring program, urban support agency, and it is unfortunate that some kids cannot attend because they got grown up responsibilities. I think that we need to get back to that neighborhood village concept
Yep.
where law
Mm,
enforcement, school board, city council, neighbor, everybody is involved in making sure that that child gets what they need for those 18 years that they are a child. So not I think that if we had all programs for all kids, come up we still would have the dilemma of this child having to be at home to raise kids that are 2 3 years younger than them. So
Mhm.
to me, some of the laws need to be changed. Perhaps we need to be more harsh on parents, and not only assume that they know what to do, teach them what to do, and so I think it's a major undertaking because how did we get to this point? Now we're we're playing catch up, and at the end of it, our kids are suffering because parents have been parents, and a lot of adults that were in positions didn't do what they were supposed to do, and all that kind of trickles down to that child that doesn't have the resources or the age or the mindset to raise themselves. So we getting I tell the teachers all the time, if that child is still coming to school, that's a plus. Because we don't, you talking about survivors, we got some kids that are survivors
Yes,
that
Lord.
survive every night,
Yeah.
and come to school and do the best that they can with
Yes.
with resources that are just beneath the poverty level. So it's a major undertaking, and everybody needs to come to the table and leave that with a
Yes.
responsibility and a duty that they need to carry out.
Yes. Yes. I think we need an after school because it's sad that kids are failing, and have help available but can't. And
Absolutely.
it's not like they don't want to be there. It's just my mom is a single parent. She has to work. Somebody got to watch the kids.
Somebody
She don't
got, yeah.
have
Right.
money to pay somebody to watch the kids. So I'm it. But they're suffering.
Right.
For our last few minutes, I need each of you to answer one question and answer it in 30 seconds. Miss Gibson, what does every child deserve?
Every child deserves a fair shot, whether that be with life, education, whether that be with opportunity. Every child deserves a fair shot and someone that loves them unconditionally, someone that will love them in spite of them being kids, them messing up, their failures, their shortcomings. Every child deserves to live happily and figure it out. Every child should just be able to figure it out on their own terms with someone guiding them along the way.
Yes, awesome. Miss Bradford, one thing every parent should stop doing.
Can you repeat the question for me?
One thing that every parent should stop doing.
One thing every parent should stop doing. Being negative towards your kids, and that's in every aspect. If they have a creative idea, if they have something that they want to try, just back them up, stand behind them, let them know that you support them in whatever that they want to do, because you never know what that might lead to, whether it's art, dancing, sports. It's so many things that kids can get into that can take them far. If it's a different language, just make sure that you're supportive in whatever they want to try.
Definitely. Captain McMullen, one thing every parent should start doing.
I think Miriam said it earlier with speaking over their children, um, speaking positivity. And I would say one of the most important things is, well, when I was growing up, before we went to school, we prayed as a siblings together before we went. But I would say as a parent, listening, like
Mm,
listening to your kids and being intentional in the listening. Um, yeah,
awesome. And Mr. Robinson, one word that describes a successful school year.
um,
30 seconds.
that's a hard one. Uh, promotion. Promotion. Uh, Promoting them healthy wise, educationally, scholastically, even emotionally. So making progress in all areas.
Thank you so much. What a powerful discussion. Thank you all so much
Thank you.
for, again, accepting the invitation to speak about Beyond the Backpack. Tonight, we've learned that preparing our children goes far beyond buying school supplies.
Right.
And this dialogue has definitely made us aware of that. If you can, thank you, virtual audience that attended. Please, if you could share, subscribe, and follow Let's Talk Shreveport. Together, we can continue having conversations that strengthen our community. Let's remember, when we invest in our children today, we are investing in Shreveport and Bossier cities tomorrow. We will be here every other week. So, week after next, please put it on your calendar. Invite someone to come out and be prepared to gain knowledge. Thank you all so much again. Good night. God bless. And we'll see you next time on Let's Talk Shreveport. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.